Everyone thought filming was over. The director had already called it. The lights were shutting down one by one. Crew members were packing cables, assistants were checking schedules, and the night air around the set felt quiet in that exhausted way only long shoots leave behind. Byeon Woo-seok had already left. His car had pulled out of the lot. Staff saw it disappear down the road. For all anyone knew, the day was done. But 20 minutes later, everything changed. Because Byeon Woo-seok came back. And when he did, it wasn't for a scene, a reshoot, or a forgotten line. It was for one thing only. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Stories like this are why people stay until the very end. Kim Hae-yoon was still on set when it happened. She hadn't left yet because one final detail needed approval. A prop. A continuity issue. Something small that didn't seem important enough to delay anyone else. Most of the cast had gone. The energy was low. The set felt hollow in that strange after-hours way where everything looks familiar, but suddenly quieter. That was when a junior staff member noticed something wrong. A bag was missing. At first, no one panicked. Sets are busy. Things get moved all the time. But when they checked the corner where Kim Hae-yoon had left her belongings, the air shifted. Her phone was inside. Personal notes. Important documents. Things that could not simply be replaced. Security was alerted. Crew members searched. Minutes passed. Nothing. Kim Hae-yoon stayed calm on the outside, but those close to her noticed the change. She stood still, hands folded, eyes unfocused, clearly replaying every moment in her head. Someone quietly asked if Byeon Woo-seok should be called.
No, she said.
He's already gone. But fate had other plans. Byeon Woo-seok had been driving for nearly 10 minutes when his phone rang. He almost didn't answer. Almost. When he heard the situation, he didn't ask questions.
He didn't hesitate.
He didn't say he'd already left. He turned the car around. No announcement. No warning. Just action. When he pulled back onto the set, several crew members froze. One whispered, "Didn't he leave already?" He stepped out of the car, jacket still on, keys still in hand. "What happened?" he asked. That was all. The search restarted, but this time, it felt different. Byeon Woo-seok didn't stand back. He didn't delegate. He walked the perimeter himself, retraced paths, spoke directly to staff, asked precise questions. Not loudly. Not emotionally. Focused. Someone later said it felt like watching an entirely different side of him. Not the actor. Not the celebrity.
Just someone who had decided this mattered.
Kim Hae-yoon noticed too. She didn't say anything at first. She just watched as he checked corners most people overlooked, spoke to guards twice, and even walked beyond the set boundary into areas that had already been cleared. At one point, a staff member said, "Oppa, it's probably gone." Byeon Woo-seok replied quietly, "Not yet." What most people don't realize is that sets are vulnerable after wrap. Security loosens. Attention drops. Everyone is tired. That's when mistakes happen. And that's when Byeon Woo-seok returned for one thing only. To make sure nothing slipped through the cracks. If you've made it this far, pause for a second and like this video. It helps more than you think, and it tells me you want stories with real weight behind them. Nearly 40 minutes passed. Then someone found it. The bag was tucked behind a stack of unused equipment near a service exit. Not stolen.
Moved.
Forgotten in a moment of chaos. Relief washed over the set. Kim Hae-yoon let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. But the moment didn't end there. Because when the bag was returned, Byeon Woo-seok didn't immediately relax. He stood there as she checked everything.
Phone.
Documents.
Notes.
Only when she nodded did his shoulders drop slightly. "Good," he said. "Then I can go." And just like that, he turned to leave again. Later, when staff talked about that night, they didn't talk about the missing bag. They talked about him coming back. They talked about the fact that he had already left, already switched off, already moved on to his own exhaustion. And yet he returned. Not because anyone asked him to. Not because it would look good. Not because cameras were there. There were no cameras. That's why it mattered. Kim Hae-yoon was asked about the incident weeks later in a completely unrelated interview. She didn't mention names at first. She simply said, "That day reminded me that sets are made of people before they are made of stories." The interviewer pressed gently. "What do you mean?" She smiled, careful but sincere. "Some people leave when the work is done. Some people come back when it's needed." She never said Byeon Woo-seok's name. She didn't have to. What happened that night never became a headline. No press release. No trending tags. No staged retelling. But among the crew, it became one of those quiet stories that gets told to new staff months later. Did you hear about the time Woo-seok left and came back? Not as gossip. As respect. Byeon Woo-seok never spoke publicly about it. And that silence said everything. Because sometimes, the most dramatic moments don't happen in front of the camera. They happen when no one is watching, when the set is quiet, when the work is supposedly over, and someone still chooses to come back. For one thing only, making sure nothing and no one is left behind. If you want more stories like this, subscribe, like, and stay with the channel. Not everything meaningful makes noise, but every now and then, it leaves a mark. He did not come back quietly. The van door slammed harder than necessary, drawing the attention of a few remaining staff members who had assumed the night was over. The security lights flickered on as footsteps echoed across the nearly empty lot. Someone whispered his name, unsure if they were really seeing him again. Byeon Woo-seok walked straight past the production assistants who tried to stop him. "I just need 5 minutes," he said, voice low but unyielding. "That's all." No one argued. Inside the building, the set felt different now that filming had officially wrapped. Props were half-covered, cameras powered down, scripts stacked carelessly on a table like abandoned evidence. It no longer felt like a drama set. It felt like the aftermath of something unfinished. Kim Hae-yoon was still there. She was sitting on a low stool near the dressing area, jacket draped over her shoulders, phone pressed to her ear. Her voice was calm, but her fingers were tight around the screen. When she looked up and saw him, she froze mid-sentence. She stood up immediately. The call ended without explanation. "You already left," she said, not accusing, just surprised. "I know," he replied. "That's why I came back." There was a pause that stretched longer than either of them expected.
Not awkward.
Heavy. The kind that follows a long day when adrenaline has worn off and only honesty remains. Around them, staff pretended not to listen. No one moved. No one spoke. Byeon Woo-seok reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded envelope, edges slightly crumpled as if it had been handled too many times during the drive away. "I took this by mistake," he said. "It was mixed in with my things." Kim Hae-yoon looked at it, then nodded slowly. "I thought it was gone." "It shouldn't have been," he said. "Not like that." She took the envelope but did not open it. Instead, she held it against her chest, eyes dropping briefly before meeting his again. "This isn't about the envelope, is it?" "No," he admitted. "It's not." Another silence. This one sharper. He exhaled, finally letting the weight show. "I heard what happened after I left." Her shoulders stiffened. "Who told you?" "I didn't need details," he said. "I could tell something was wrong from the way everyone went quiet." She looked away. "It's nothing new." "That's exactly the problem," he replied. For the first time that night, his voice carried frustration. Not anger. Something more controlled, more personal. "You carried that entire scene today," he continued. "You stayed professional when you didn't have to. And when things went wrong, you were the one apologizing. That shouldn't be normal." She gave a faint, tired smile. "Welcome to the industry." "No," he said immediately. "I don't accept that." That caught her off guard. "I left thinking the day was done," he went on. "Then halfway home, I realized something didn't sit right. Not the scene. Not the schedule. The fact that everyone watched you take responsibility for something that wasn't yours." He gestured toward the set. "I've been here long enough to know when silence means agreement. And I don't agree." Her expression softened, but her eyes glistened. "You didn't have to come back." "I did," he said. "Because if I didn't, I'd be part of that silence." The assistant director cleared their throat quietly, pretending to check their phone. No one interrupted. Kim Hyun finally opened the envelope. Inside was a single page, creased from use. A handwritten note she had written weeks ago, reminders to herself scribbled in the margins. Lines about timing, breath control, emotional pacing. Things no one ever sees when the cameras are rolling. I write these when I feel like I'm losing my footing, she said quietly. I didn't mean for anyone to read it. I didn't, he replied. I recognized the handwriting and stopped. She laughed once, short and surprised. That might be the nicest thing anyone's done for me today. He hesitated, then said the thing he had come back for. I spoke to the director on my way here. Her head snapped up. You what? I didn't attack anyone, he said quickly. I didn't dramatize it. I just said the truth. That today's delay wasn't on you. That your performance is the reason half the scenes worked at all. And that if accountability is going to exist, it needs to be accurate. Her voice dropped. That could cause problems for you. I know. So why do it? Because reputations are built on patterns, he said. And I don't want mine built on staying quiet when it matters. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she bowed slightly. Not formally.
Personally.
Thank you, she said. Not as a co-star. As a person. He returned the gesture, without thinking. Outside, the night air felt different when they finally stepped out together.
Cooler.
Calmer. The tension that had followed the crew all day seemed to loosen. Just a little. Staff members exchanged glances. Someone whispered, "Did you see that?" Another replied, "Yeah." He came back. Word would spread, as it always did. Not as gossip. As observation. Byeon Woo-seok had left the set. Then he came back for one thing only. And everyone there understood exactly what it was.